my last video, I talked about emotional safety. Today, I want to talk about something more subtle, the pressure many of us mistake for love. It's not the obvious kind of pressure. I mean the quiet kind. The kind that slips into relationships unnoticed and stays there because we've learned to call it care. For a long time, I didn't even recognize it as pressure. I thought it was just what love required. Because growing up, many of us were taught, directly or indirectly, that love is supposed to feel demanding. That if you're not trying hard enough, proving something, or stretching yourself constantly, then maybe you're not loving well. So we normalize tension. We normalize walking on edge. We normalize explaining ourselves over and over just to be understood. It's the kind of exhaustion that shows up even when nothing is technically wrong. You're not fighting, you're not in crisis, but you're always a little tense, always checking yourself, always adjusting, always wondering if you're doing enough to stay loved. And most people don't call this pressure. They call it commitment. They call it effort. They call it just how love works. But I want to gently question that today, because love shouldn't feel like something you're constantly managing. Pressure in love often shows up in small, everyday moments. It's the feeling that you always have to be on, always responsive, always accommodating, always emotionally available, even when you're tired. It's feeling guilty for needing space, anxious when you rest, uneasy when you say no. It's noticing that you're measuring your words before you speak, not because you want to be kind, but because you're afraid of how they'll land. And over time, that kind of pressure doesn't just affect the relationship, it affects you. You start shrinking parts of yourself without realizing it. You become more careful, more watchful, more self-monitoring. Not because you're unsafe, but because you've learned that love might be withdrawn if you don't perform it correctly. That's not intimacy, that's survival. So when love starts to feel like pressure, we don't question it. We internalize it. We assume we're the problem. One of the biggest myths we absorb is that love is supposed to feel like effort all the time. And yes, love requires effort, but effort and pressure are not the same thing. Effort energizes you, even when it's hard. Pressure drains you, even when nothing is happening. When love is healthy, effort doesn't erase you. It doesn't demand that you abandon your needs to keep the peace. Pressure, on the other hand, quietly teaches you to prioritize the relationship over your own emotional safety. And this doesn't only happen in romantic relationships. It happens with family, with friendships, with people we feel obligated to stay close to. But constant pressure isn't a sign of depth. It's a sign that something is being held together by pressure. Pressure shows up quietly. It doesn't always look like control or conflict. Sometimes it looks like overthinking every message before you send it, like replaying conversations in your head to make sure you didn't say the wrong thing, like shrinking a need because you don't want to seem demanding. Sometimes it sounds like, if you really cared, you would. Why can't you just be more like, I guess I'll just handle it myself? What makes this so difficult is that pressure often disguises itself as responsibility. We tell ourselves, they need me. I don't want to disappoint them. I should be able to handle this. It's the feeling that if you stop trying, even for a moment, something might fall apart. So you stay alert. Not because you want to, but because relaxing feels risky. A lot of people confuse this feeling with love because it's familiar. If you grew up in environments where affection was inconsistent, where approval came and went, where being easy or helpful made you safer, your system may have learned that closeness requires vigilance. So when you feel pressure in a relationship, it doesn't feel alarming. It feels normal. Your body recognizes it. But love that is safe makes room for your humanity. It allows for bad days, for misunderstandings, for growth that isn't linear. You don't have to earn rest in healthy love. You don't have to explain your exhaustion. You don't have to justify your limits. You're allowed to be imperfect without fear of losing connection. And this is important because many people stay in pressured relationships not because they're happy, but because they're afraid of what happens if they stop trying so hard. But love that collapses when you stop over-functioning was never being held by both people equally. It was being carried by you. Pressure teaches us that love is fragile, that it needs constant managing. Safety teaches us that love can breathe. One question that helps clarify the difference is this: do I feel more myself in this relationship or less? Not more tolerated, not more needed. More myself, because real love doesn't require you to stay small to stay connected. It doesn't punish you for evolving. It doesn't threaten distance when you express discomfort. It listens. And listening doesn't mean immediate agreement, but it does mean your feelings are not treated like inconveniences. If you're realizing that some of your relationships feel heavy right now, I want to say this gently. Not all pressure is intentional. Not all of it comes from malice. Sometimes people love us the only way they know how. Through control, through expectation, through fear of loss. But understanding where pressure comes from doesn't mean you have to live under it. You're allowed to want love that feels steady instead of tense. You're allowed to choose relationships that don't keep you in a constant state of proving. And if this brings up discomfort, that's okay. Growth often begins with noticing what you've been normalizing. This isn't about cutting people off or labeling anyone as bad. It's about asking honest questions. Questions like, do I feel emotionally safe here? Can I express myself without fear? Am I allowed to change? Because love that is healthy doesn't demand perfection. It makes space for repair, for softness, for truth. If love feels like pressure all the time, something needs attention, not endurance. You don't have to keep holding your breath to be loved. And if no one has said this to you before, let me say it now. Love is not meant to feel like constant tension. It's meant to feel like somewhere you can rest. If this resonates, take a moment to check in with yourself. Where have you been mistaking pressure for care? Where have you been trying harder instead of feeling safer? You don't need answers right away. Awareness is enough to start. It's also important to note that pressure often hides behind good intentions. People say things like, I just want us to work. I care too much. Relationships take sacrifice. And yes, relationships take care, honesty, adjustment, but they shouldn't take your nervous system hostage. Love shouldn't feel like something you have to earn over and over again. When pressure leaves a relationship, something else has room to grow. Presence, attunement, trust. You can actually hear each other. You don't feel rushed to fix or prove. You don't feel like one misstep will cost you everything. Pressure makes people disappear, slowly. Not because they don't care, but because staying present starts to feel unsafe. If you're recognizing this pattern in your past, or even your present, be gentle with yourself. Many of us learned love in environments where safety wasn't consistent, where effort was praised more than ease, where being low maintenance felt necessary. You didn't imagine the pressure, and you didn't choose it because you wanted to suffer. You adapted. Please hear me. Love doesn't need to feel like a performance. You don't need to hold everything together on your own. You don't need to stay tense to stay chosen. And if love has been feeling heavy lately, that doesn't mean you're failing. It means something important is asking to be noticed. If this reflection resonated with you, take a moment to check in with yourself. Where have you been mistaking pressure for care? Where have you been trying harder instead of feeling safer? You don't need answers right away. Awareness is enough to start. And if you want to go deeper into what emotionally supportive love feels like at its core, I recommend watching my previous video on emotional safety. It's linked on the screen. These conversations build on each other. If you like more honest, steady reflections like this, you can support the channel by liking this video and subscribing. We're learning that love doesn't have to feel like pressure to be real. Sometimes, the healthiest love is the one that lets you rest. I'll see you in the next video.